everyone, I am back for another video, and this one is going to cover programming. But before I get into the details that I'm going to talk about within the programming model, programming forms that you'll fill out, things like that, I want to talk a little bit about the why behind programming so that you have an idea um, of why it has an impact, why it has importance, and why it's so useful within our department. So, programmings are an essential function to the RA position, and they're a primary way for residence life to engage with students. So we use these as a tool or a mechanism, you could say, as a means for sharing resources, promoting overall well-being, and building intentional and lasting connections with our residents. And part of all of that and what it goes into is we have the ability to see our residents in the building, on campus, talk to them as they navigate certain issues. But programming and facilitating programs provides a more unique opportunity where, while they're coming to this, it's a way for natural connections to form based off of the topic of the program, or a resident maybe having a particular interest or a want to be involved. So they're really important and impactful within our campus community. So this particular video, we'll get into the more heavy details of our programming model, some recommendations and requirements that we have in terms of programming. But this video in particular will familiarize you with some of the forms that we'll be using for programming and just give you an idea of some of the ways that you can successfully brainstorm for programming, submit your forms, and then just have the opportunity to get the ball rolling on your brainstorming and your planning for programming. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I will show you is the programming abstract. And in order to do that, I'm going to share my screen. And what a programming abstract is, similar to those of you who maybe done research, an abstract gives us a full picture of what that program will be. The idea behind the program, what is the intention of the program, what will you need in order to facilitate that program, and it'll give professional staff and your supervisor the chance to get that full scope so we can see, do you have the plan in place that you need to facilitate this? Do we have the budget needed to support the program? And using the detailed information that you submit, do we think that it will be successful, or are there need for adjustments? And we would be happy to talk with you about that if it is the case. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see the program abstract. So now you'll see on my screen here, I'll scroll up to the top so you can see the full form. And similar to what I showed you with the duty log, if you've already watched that video, is you're looking at what it will look like in terms of what we see from professional staff side, but I just want to make sure that you are able to familiarize yourself with the form, and you can find links to the forms that I reference in this video in the programming page that's included on our Canvas course. So this is the 2021-2022 Residence Life Program Abstract, self-explanatory, and you should be able to find all of the information that you need there. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to responses, and this is what information will be pulled after you submit your program abstract. So this is what we'll be able to review when you submit that form. It's important to know, as is listed here, that all programming abstracts are due at least 10 days prior to the proposed event. We don't know exactly what you were planning, maybe thinking for the upcoming semester. I would say it's safer to do it earlier in advance than 10 days, especially if more, for example, supplies are needed or advanced planning is needed, but you want to make sure that those 10 days prior to your program are followed. So you'll see here that the first piece of information that you fill out is your name. Simple enough, but you want to make sure, just as would be in your duty log, that you fill out both your first and last name. You're going to include the date of your abstract submission. And the reason we ask for this, as I had referenced, is you need to fill it out 10 days in advance to your program. So we're going to be able to look at when you submitted that and when your program will be to make sure there's enough time to successfully plan and facilitate the program. Next, you'll see a section for the program information. This will include the location and like I said, if you had already gotten the chance to watch the duty log video, great. If not, in that video, I gave an example of a good and bad duty log, and I'm going to do the same for our programming forms, a good and bad abstract. So as you're viewing this video, taking a look at the form as it's filled out, try to think to yourself, is this what I should include? Should I include more? Might this be the good or the bad program abstract? So you'll see here that I included Birchie as a location. I said that the date of my program will be 7/12/2021. The time will be 6:30 for start and 8 p.m. for end. And I said that the program would not be held on a weekend. When I go into the more detailed information, you'll see that I made the title of my program Come to Your Senses and the dimension, which to take a pause and explain that to you, the programming model that we follow does utilize the mercy values that we have here on campus as an aspect for programming and what can influence the programming. So you'll see quickly, I'm going to go over to questions here, just so that you can reference this for your information. So the mercy values or the dimensions that you should include as aspects of your program are either mercy, which can align with life skills, career planning, diversity and social justice issues, justice, which you would look at particular topics such as sexual assault awareness or prevention, talking about healthy relationships, both romantic and friendships, alcohol awareness, drug use, those sort of topics. Additionally, there is hospitality, and those sort of programs can be emotional wellness, so having different stress relief activities such as making stress balls, looking at stress management, or even physical wellness like a yoga program. And finally, service, which are the programs that benefits the campus community or the surrounding community, such as, Crescent area, Altoona. We've collaborated with different youth shelters in Altoona, for example, but those programs that have or do a service to other individuals. So I'm going to go and pop back over to the responses and scroll back down to where I was. And for this program, Come to Your Senses, I had chosen hospitality as my program dimension. For program description, I said that residents will be able to come and make a sensory jar and learn tips on dealing with mental health concerns. And I said that that would benefit residents because it will promote coping with stressors and provide a resource to them. I said that it is not community exclusive, and what we mean by that is for this particular one, since it's not community exclusive, is that it provided programming to a larger portion of the building or the campus as opposed to just my community, my floor. I said that I would promote and advertise the program by flyers and word of mouth. I would not be collaborating with a different department or a staff member, so that was not applicable to me. And then when you're continuing to fill out your programming form, there will be specific requests that may align with the planning and facilitation of your program. For example, the budget that you would need. So the question stands, how much money do you need for your program? When do you need it by? And for this form, I said unknown, probably $35. I said that I do not need a space reserved, and it was not applicable to me because I didn't want to reserve a space. But if I did want to reserve a space, I would want to include the details on that space and the time that I did need it. I said that no assistance was needed from professional staff members. And again, that was not applicable to me. I did not want to order any food from Sage. Again, not applicable. And I expected 15 students to attend. And under additional requests or comments, I said, please come. So you might have already thought to yourself, this might be missing details. There may be some errors, and in assuming that, you would be correct. What I will say, the first thing you'll notice is, if you remember correctly, you need to submit this 10 days prior to your program. I would have submitted this on 7/7 for a program on 7/12, which is not appropriate because it doesn't allow those 10 days for planning and facilitation. The next issue that you may see would be involved in the program description. It's not very clear what my program exactly is or why it would be beneficial to the residents, which may cause or prompt a professional staff member or your supervisor to have a conversation with you of, tell me more about this program. I'm not understanding your intention behind it. I'm not understanding how it will be beneficial. So let's have a conversation on that. In terms of collaborating with other departments or staff members, the reason that this could be an issue is I was specifically talking about stressors and dealing with mental health. So that's the sort of program that it would be extremely beneficial to bring in a department such as counseling on. For program requests, one thing that I had said was unknown, probably $35. It's important that when you're planning your program and getting ready to facilitate that, you include information such as where you might need supplies from, and how much those supplies cost. So it's good to make yourself, for example, a shopping list. I said that my program would be taking place in Birchie, if you remember from before, and I said that I did not need that space reserved. However, it's better to err on the side of caution, so you want to include that for your supervisor so that they're able to place a space reservation as far in advance as they can, so they make sure that they are able to secure the space for you. Or if they aren't able to, they can make additional arrangements with you. So those are the main issues that you would see with that particular form. So I'm going to scroll back up, not to make you seasick, and I'm going to look at the other programming form, which will give you your good example. Now, I did only put my first name here, but of course you'll want to include your first and last name. I said that the date of my abstract submission on this particular abstract was 7/7, and the location would be Cosgrave Lobby near the Mac Shack. That's clear, concise as to where my program would be, so that there might not be any questions from professional staff members or my supervisor. You'll see that the date of my program is 7/21. I submitted it on 7/7, which would provide about 2 weeks, which is over that 10-day period. I said that my start time would be 4, end time would be 6, and it's not held on a weekend. Now we'll go into program details. I said that my program idea was Coffee with Campus Police, and it would fall under the value of justice or the dimension of justice. And the program description would be I would collaborate with Campus Police and Safety for Educational Program on campus policies. At the program, officers Bungard and Luca would work with RA Hanna to facilitate Jeopardy game on campus policies. And that residents would have the chance to become more familiarized with campus police and safety and have a chance to test their knowledge on policies and procedures. And also, if they were unclear, they'd have the opportunity to ask questions. Not community exclusive, I gave information on how I would promote that program. I would be collaborating, obviously, because that was with campus police and safety. And finally, I said that there would be $30 needed for that program. I need a space reserved because I would be using Cosgrave. I did not need assistance from a professional staff member, and you'll see that I included the number of people that I expected to attend. So that gives you a frame on what that program abstract should look like. And again, like I said, you can find that under the tab, and we'll make sure that the resource is shared out with you.